And welcome back to Wendy's World. Here is a part of the Jackal Creations podcast network powered by Anchor.fm. I'm Jason Clouse. I'm being joined by Wendy McBride Washburn. This is going to be something different. This is not only segment 2 of the audio podcast, episode 9, as it were. We are also filming this for the Clouse to the Heart YouTube channel, and we will explain why here momentarily. So for those who may not be familiar with Wendy's World, it is one of the 4 shows that we do here on the Jackal Creations Podcast Network. My friend Wendy McBride Washburn joins me every week, and we talk about just life in general, our life, or, her life, my life, things that are happening in and around our worlds. We try to keep things a little bit on the lighter side of things, because at the end of the day, we're here to entertain. And there's enough.
A little laugh.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
listen, laughter is the best medicine, right?
Absolutely.
If you can go through life and laugh at least once a day, you're doing okay.
Right.
Now, what happens from time to time is for whatever reason, there is a barrage of negativity that can disrupt the flow of things. And a lot of it, some of it can be justified. It could be a disagreement. It could be, some sort of an event that happened that just did not set well, or whatever the case may be. I mean, there are so many examples as to why things go off the rails. There are other times where that type of thing is not justified. It is not, there's no reason to act the way people do towards another human being, especially those who you have no regular contact with, you don't know on any kind of level. You're going off of assumptions, you're going off tidbits of information and things of this nature, and it winds up becoming a thing. Now, again, we try to keep things a little bit on the lighter side. We try to be, try to have fun, we try to laugh, we tried this, we tried that. And it, by and large, resonates with our listeners, with our fans of this particular show. Now, with that being said, and let me preface what we're about to talk about by saying this, that the content here is going to be much more adult oriented, and the language is probably going to be more adult oriented. So if that offends anybody, I
apologizing in advance.
Yeah, I'm sorry right out of the gate, but when things like this come across my radar, I tend to get a little fired up about it. And anybody who knows, when it takes me a minute to get fired up about anything on this level. And but this is something that's been on my mind for the last several days, and it's probably a good thing that we waited a few days to record, because if we had done it when I initially wanted to, the entire tone of the entire episode would have been a lot different than what it is here.
And that's a really good life lesson, I think, because that is one of my problems that I have been trying to work on, is sometimes your immediate reaction is not the reaction that needs to be presented to the world, the person, the individual, whatever. Right. Taking some time, little 10-second rule, 10-day rule, whatever you need to kind of look at things through fresh eyes and a calm mind. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Maybe that's the moral of the story.
Could be. I mean, if you're going to look for the silver lining, I guess that would be it, right?
Well, I just know, like, when I have an immediate reaction response, and I did to what we are about to discuss here, I did not handle it very well in the beginning by any means. And whenever I choose to act immediately, I seem to regret it later. I seem to feel, God, I could have handled that so much better. And I'm better than that. And why am I letting this person get me to become that? I don't know. Anyway, all right, let's continue. I'm sorry.
All right. So here's how we're going to tackle this. I'm going to lay the table. I'm going to set the table for you. Okay. I'm going to give something of a backstory. I'm not going to go into specifics in terms of names.
Good.
I don't think that that's the appropriate way to do. Although if we had recorded, a few days ago, that would not have been a thing.
Yeah.
But I gave myself a little bit of time to calm down. So we are going to. I'm going to set the table. I'll give you as much of the backstory as I can, as far as I understand it. I'm going to let you have your say first, and then I will jump in when you're done and have my say in it.
Okay. All right. I gotcha.
So, the story goes, and this goes back, what, two years ago?
Yeah, it's been 2 years.
Now, 2 years ago, you and I were on the same team at work while we were on second shift. And there was another gentleman that worked alongside us.
Yes.
He happened to work right next to you. Now, when I say right next to you, I don't want to paint the picture like you guys were shoulder to shoulder.
It's footprint next to me.
Yeah, there was a considerable amount of space. It's not like you guys had a lot of, you weren't rubbing elbows.
Right, right.
Now, this individual is not what you would call a social butterfly.
That would be correct.
Very tough nut to crack, because he is very quiet, very reserved, doesn't really talk to anybody. But if he gets to a point to where he's comfortable with you, or he knows that he can trust you, he starts to open up a little bit. That's how he and I got, we got to be very close, very good friends. And that was from his time when he first came into the plane as a temp. That there was an instance happened. I went to bat for him. He knew I went to bat for him. He's like one of my guys,
Right.
I mean? Mm-hmm. And ever since then, he and I have become very good friends. Now, you two worked side by side, next to each other. Your footprints were side by side. Correct. And he's not one that would engage in a lot of conversation. And if you guys did have a conversation, it was very short, very brief, right to the point.
Yeah, not a lot of interaction, for sure.
Right. At the time, he was dating this woman, and I don't know what the dynamic of their relationship is. I just know from bits and pieces of information that he has told me over the course of that time that things may not have been all sunshine and rainbows. We'll just say that. There was indication that there was a lot of dissension between the two of them, and oftentimes resulted in arguments and things of this nature. I don't know if alcohol was a contributor to what would eventually lead to the downfall of their relationship, and subsequently the breakup of their relationship. But before all that happens, for whatever reason, it seemed to me, and I don't even understand.
I still don't know how I even got in the mix.
But you were accused by this woman of having some sort of a relationship with the other
gentleman I barely know.
Right. And anybody that worked with us, that was on our team leader, anybody that paid any kind of attention, laughed at that insinuation, because there's just no way that would be a thing. Number one, you are very happily married. Number two, you guys didn't have any you barely had a friendship. I wouldn't even call it a friendship. I would have called it more of a professional acquaintances. Yes.
Yeah.
You weren't Facebook friends. You weren't, there was no correspondence between the two of you outside of work. None. At all. In fact, there wasn't hardly any correspondence with you in work. So I don't understand how the whole thing came to be, but it blew up into this huge issue, right?
Right.
So now that I've kind of set the table, because this situation re-arose last week.
Ugh.
And what I mean by that is I woke up to a bunch of notifications on the Wendy's World Facebook page. And everything that I had posted, every post on that page is things that I have posted. Whether it be links to the show, whether it be the one picture of you and me because you wore your Wendy's World shirt,
Character.
or
Yeah.
your cups, or whatever. I'm the one that posted all that. You did not. Every single post on there had some sort of very nasty, very negative comment from this woman. A lot of which were directed towards the guy in question, being full-blown attacks. But a few of them had your name attached to it. Now, as I'm reading these, I'm trying to figure out what's the best course of action here, because as I'm reading them, I'm getting more and more pissed off. For one, do I screenshot it? Do I respond directly? What do I do here, right? So I took the high road, what I thought was the high
Yeah,
road.
I think you handled it great. Yeah.
I deleted those comments and blocked the person who wrote that.
Right.
I told you about it, which I wasn't sure if I was going to, because I was kind of waiting to see if you had seen it and if you were going to approach me with it. That didn't happen.
Right.
So when I had seen you on first break, and I was like, okay, are we going? Did she see it?
Because you knew if I would have seen it, I would have mentioned it.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
And you hadn't. So I was like,
No.
okay, we need to have a talk. And here's what happened. And this is kind of the gist of what was said, blah, blah, blah. You got fired up. Like, I haven't seen you that fired up that fast in quite some time.
Well, yeah.
So now that I have set the table, I'm giving you this next block of time to address this and to say anything that you feel about the situation. You let me know when you're done, because I will not interrupt you. I will not go on sidebars. You have the open floor to address this, seeing as how that you and the gentleman were the primary targets here, and I'll tell you when I start talking as to why I took exception to it. So the floor is yours, Wendy.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit and give a little bit more detail on when all this first started, and I will start with this individual woman messaged me on Facebook, and a lot of times I don't even, you'll get a strange message or, a friend request of someone you don't know, and I leave it alone. I just, ignore it or whatnot. But I'm not even sure. I can't. I was trying to scroll as you were talking to pull up that first interaction with us, because it was all over the board. But her first message to me started out with something about, you sure have a cute husband. And thanks. I don't know why I responded. I'm not even sure what was going through my head at that time. And something to the fact that maybe I should, or you better hold on to him or something, or I'm going to take him like you took my man. Now what? I don't even know who you are. What are you talking about? And it just kept going from accusing me of taking her man, disrupting a relationship. I'm a homewrecker. I'm this, and I'm trying to be, hey, I don't even know who you are. I'm not even sure why this is being directed. Do you have the wrong person? I think I even showed you the text messages at one point. I'm like, am I being pranked, like punked? Like, what is this? And from the very beginning, I was showing my husband, and I believe he's like, oh, just ignore it. Don't even respond. Don't even interact. Sometimes my curiosity gets the better of me. And I was still engaging with her, and she was just full-fledged. How can you do this as a woman? I went on her Facebook profile to try to find out who she was, and I noticed that she was friends with Jeff. And so I said, the only friend I see we have in common
All right.
what was this gentleman that worked next to me. And I'm like, is this who you're talking about? And that's who it is, and this, and that. And I'm like, listen, you are really mistaken. I'm sorry for what you're going through. Honestly, I barely know this guy. He works next to me. It's, hello, how you doing? It's strictly, why's the line down? That type of interaction. No other interaction. Like you said earlier, we are not Facebook friends. We don't have each other's phone numbers. I don't know anything. The personal stuff that you knew about his life, I had no idea. We didn't have that type of a relationship. So I'm feeling bad for this lady and explaining, I'm really sorry. And I can honestly attest that this gentleman does not even really socialize at work. He sticks to himself. And then the conversation took a turn where she was apologetic and I'm sorry. And then she started telling me all these personal details about her life and his life, and it went on and on. And then next thing I know, it took another turn that I'm lying and how dare I. And it got to the point, Jason, that I went through a lot of emotions with this. First, I felt bad for her. Then I was confused. And then I was starting to get angry. She was trying to request my husband as a friend. She wanted to talk to him, clearly thinking that he didn't know this whole thing was going on. But Craig and I don't keep things from each other. So he had already been informed from day one. And I just couldn't understand how it went so off the rails. I couldn't grasp. I did. I got angry and I felt bad for it. And I read you the text messages. Now they were quite lengthy, correct? Like in months. Well, maybe that's inaccurate, but it seemed like a very long time, at least a month. And then she would go several days without, okay, finally communication's over. And then she'd jump right back on. How dare I do this? And I can have them. And, how can I do this to my husband and her? And it was all over the board. It was an exhausting, frustrating. I got scared. Like, I felt like she was a stalker. Like, is this woman going to end up at my house? Is she going to bring harm to me or my family? It was clear that she's an unstable person from all of the different types of messages that she was sending me. I kept trying to be the bigger person, be the one that was going to help this woman through this, and please reach out to family, friends, God, rely on somebody. I don't think you're in the right frame. And she even as much said in some of the text messages that she's not in the right frame of mind because of everything that she's been through. But it went on so long. Eventually, it died down. The gentleman apologized, because I confronted the gentleman, and I'm like, why on earth? How does she even know my name? Why does she even think there is anything besides work interaction? And he was extremely apologetic. He couldn't understand it. He couldn't comprehend. He had mentioned that at one point in time, he had mentioned something that I had said at work. I don't even remember what it was regarding. And he she said, "Who said that?" And he said my name. And that was the only conversation with how she knew who I was. So I can't grasp or understand how this even happened. And like I said, I was extremely irritated, upset, and then I'm sad for her at the same time. I feel that she is not in a good mental health status, and she definitely needs someone or something to help her through the issues that she's having. Now, when you came to me not too long ago, I definitely got extremely fired up again. And the reason for that is, one, she is now bringing you into this situation where you're an innocent bystander as well. And then what really got me is the message that she sent to your wife. I, I, I know that this is not my fault. I understand, but in a way, I feel horrible that your family was dragged into this, and I don't know how to fix the situation. I don't know how. I can tell you're getting so fired up by the look on your face. Oh, it's exhausting. It's and from my understanding, they're no longer together. It's 2 years later. She's with somebody new, according to what you informed me of that. I I just don't understand. Like we were talking earlier, how some individuals choose to deal with things. I don't get it. I don't grasp it. I know that people have affairs. I know that um, you can lose trust in a relationship and you want to put blame on other people or whatever the case. And I understand her reaching out to me and not believing what I'm saying, but I think there's a better way to handle it than all the turmoil that she has caused. Part of me just wants to cuss her out. Part of me wants to drive her to a therapy appointment. And I'm not trying to be cruel on that last comment. Like, I seriously believe that this woman is unstable to the point to where she made me fear for something happening to me or my family. I felt that, and I'm exhausted, Jason. I'm gonna turn it over to you because I can tell that you are totally itching to say your version, your side, and your thoughts. You ready? Oh, the glasses are coming off. Oh no. All right. You ready?
I will start by saying that poor mental health is a bitch, and it makes you do and say crazy things that are just so far off the rails. Now, anybody who knows you on any personal level knows how devoted of a wife and a mother you are to your family. That's number one. Number two, we're talking about a time of years, 2, 3, whatever, years, as in plural, as in more than one. Between the time this whole thing started to it died down and now it's picked back up for whatever reason. My initial question in all of this was for you and the gentleman to have no personal ties whatsoever. You know, how did you get sought out? How did you get targeted? How did she know your last name? Right. That's
Right. Yeah.
I have a huge problem in all of this on a number of different levels. Number one, whatever happens within a relationship between a man and woman, man, woman, whatever the dynamic is, that should be all that there is. You don't need to get everybody else involved in it when at the bottom line, it's your issue. It's
Good
your
point.
issue with your partner. Bottom line. You don't have to drag everybody else into it because number one, you don't know how to handle your own business. And number two, why are you trying to disrupt other people's lives when it's your life that's fucked up? Now, another issue I take with this is, going to the lengths of and I've read the messages that she sent you. You allowed me to read a good portion of those. So I got a firm grasp on where this individual's head is at, and it's clearly not in any realm of reality. It is somewhere so far into another stratosphere that the lack of oxygen can only be a reason as to why this is okay in her head, when by and large it is not. If you want to be miserable in your own life and you want to keep yourself in a miserable situation that you deemed is not fit mentally, physically, or otherwise, that's your business. It's nobody else's business, nor do they need to be involved in any of your business. Now, anybody that knows me knows I try to shy as far away from drama as I possibly can because I can't fucking stand it. I can't stand other people's issues, and I can't stand other people trying to drag other people into their issues to make it more worse, 10 times worse than what it truly is. Here's the bottom line. If you're not happy in your situation, regardless of what it is, your job, your relationship, your whatever, make some changes. Cut some ties, whatever the case may be. If you don't have the capability of doing that, you need to talk to a professional. The last thing that you need to do is get a nugget of whatever goes into your crazy little head to the where you blow it up to be something nowhere near what is happening. And that's what's happened here. The fact that she tried to contact Craig and to further disrupt your personal home life is a huge red flag. And I can totally understand why you did have those feelings of fear. That's not fair. You didn't ask to be a part of any of this bullshit, nor did the gentleman in question. And he was humiliated,
Yeah.
because he is very much not a person that wants to have his business out among other people, especially in a realm of social media. Now, regardless of all of that, and in addition to all that, I guess I should say, this individual clearly is off the rocker somewhere. The misinformation that she's got, that she has twisted and turned in her little nugget brain, has escalated to what this has become. Now, I try to let people just take care of their own battles. I try not to get involved in anybody else's business. But even if my wife hadn't been contacted, and I'll get to that part here in a second, it came down to our page on Facebook, our show page. Now, anybody who knows me knows I'm very loyal to my friends. I'm very loyal to the people who are loyal to me. I take care and I look out for the people that I know have my best interest at the forefront. That we have a friendship, in this case, we have a friendship and we have a professional relationship in terms of the podcast here or where we work. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Now, you and I, we are friends outside of work. We do know each other. Like, I've met your husband, and you know what I mean? So it's not like we have anything to hide here. But the fact that you took 2 years worth of venom and for a situation that is no longer relevant, even more so now than it was then, because it wasn't even relevant then. There was no truth behind any of these claims that was pointed out time and time and time and time again. She chose to ignore that. So now what she's going to do is to further, if you're going to drug up all of these feelings and all of this hatred towards an individual who at the end of the day has nothing to do with the situation that individual is currently in, sought out or however came across our show page on Facebook, and albeit it's a public page, and I get that. some of the shit that was written on there was some some of the stuff that was written on there would have been enough evidence to have somebody locked up because of the threats. Okay, threats towards the gentleman, threats towards you, and subsequently threats towards me. I'm going to tell you something. I don't take threats very good at all. I have no, and your part of the equation is it's my loyalty to you as my friend and as my co-worker and as a co-host on a podcast of a network that I have created in an effort to better my situation, to better your situation, to better Jim Burgett's, Nikki Falsoni's, and my three co-hosts on the Turnbuckle Time Machine. Like, this is not just a hobby to me. This is our escape plan. This is what we're going to do for a living eventually. So I have put a lot of heart, time, and soul into this project. And I will be goddamned if I'm going to have some nutcase fuck that up for me. That's number one. Number two is I have no shit in business being involved in your business. My name should not be in your mouth. So why am I being brought into this? Because I am your friend? Because I do know and I am friends with the other guy in question here? Because I have put myself onto a public platform? I guess that makes me a target. And in that case, I will take it. But under no circumstances do you cross the line of coming into my personal life. Under no circumstances will I allow that kind of disruption for somebody that at the end of the day, I have no fucking idea who you are. You mean nothing to me. You mean nothing to Wendy. And at this point, you mean nothing to the other guy. So get yourself right. Focus on your own life. If you're miserable, you deal with it. You deal with your new boyfriend if things aren't necessarily blowing the wind up your skirt. I have no part of that. Wendy has no part of that. My wife has no part of that. And the fact that you're going to send a message to my wife to tell her that she needs to keep me away from you if she wants to save our marriage, who in the fuck do you think you are? You have no idea what the dynamic of my personal life is. I am the last person you want on the radar. You know what I'm saying? Because I want no part of your life. I want to be no part of your life. Professionally, personally, whatever. So you can take your warped little conspiracy theories and you can deal with them in your own little corner of your sad, pathetic world. Because we're busy being awesome over here. We're busy doing things that mean something to somebody. We're busy doing something to try to focus on the more positive things in life. And you are a prime example of what that is not. You are the epitome of everything that is wrong in this world. Subsequently, and if I'm going to go the compassionate route with this, which I don't really feel like doing, you are the epitome of why people need to seek professional help when you are not in a right mental frame of mind. You are the epitome. You are now a poster child of that because you have this warped idea of something that's happening that at the end of the day could not be further from the truth. So I hope and I pray that at some point that you do get some professional help, that you do talk to somebody, that you find some sort of creative avenue to get rid of whatever demons that you're dealing with, either self-imposed or otherwise. You do you. You worry about you. Don't worry about what the fuck we're doing. Because if I had to prioritize it in the grand scheme of life, like we are up here and you are somewhere way below sub levels, levels, because you don't register. And I understand that we all want to feel like our contributions are heard or important. You are not. You are not important. Not to me. You may be to your own friends, and if you have any family, you may be important to them. You mean not a damn thing to me. I don't know you. on any level, nor do I care to. I know of you, and that's all I need to know that you mean nothing to me. So you keep my name, you keep my show, you keep Wendy's name and her show and her life and her family and her business out of your mouth and out of your brain. You do you. Don't bring your personal bullshit to me. Don't try to pull me and my family into your fucked up little world. You don't want that kind of attention. I promise you, you don't want that kind of attention. Now, I will end this by saying, I sincerely hope that you find whatever peace it is that you're looking for. And if you need to turn to God, you need to turn to a counselor, you need to turn to somebody to get that out of you. I hope at some point you find the peace and the happiness that you say that you deserve. But rest assured this, neither I nor Wendy or anybody else gives a flying fuck about you or what you do. You take care of you. You handle your own business and do whatever it is that you got to do to get the help that you need because you clearly need it. Leave us out of it. We are too busy doing important things. We are too busy making a positive difference in people's lives. We don't have time for your negative, self-construed, made up drama. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. We have proof. When you have proof, that's the truth. That's the end of the story. Don't try to attach yourself to this level of awesomeness because quite frankly, you can't fucking handle it. Clearly, it would make your head just explode right off your shoulders. You can't handle it. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
So that's all I've got to say about it. And that's hopefully that's the last time. I mean, it will be the last time I address this on the air. Hopefully I don't have to address it in any other realm because it's not going to be pretty if it does. Because I'm not dealing with it. I'm not dealing with it. I have enough shit on my plate. I don't need to worry about this.
I truly hope it's the end of this drama scenario, whatever you want to call it. And in my heart, I truly hope that she finds happiness, peace, whatever. I do. I hope it's over.
Right.
And I apologize to you and your wife again. I feel
nothing for you to apologize for.
It's
not your fault that other people don't know how to be adults. You know what I mean? We can't save them all, Hasselhoff.
we can try.
All right. Well, let's end the show there with I got a laugh out of you, so we're gonna end it there on this high note. So with that, we certainly appreciate everybody tuning in. We certainly appreciate you watching this on YouTube if that's how you went about this. Your continued support means so much to all of us. So we will be back here next Saturday with a brand new episode. And until then, be awesome to yourselves and to each other. And we will see you on the next thrilling installment of Wendy's World.